Alright guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you the best settings for MHD on the N55 engine. So let's get straight into it. So here you can see my M235i, and this car is lucky enough to come with the N55 engine. So I thought I'd show you exactly what settings I'm running and what I think the best settings are to get the best noise out of the N55 engine are, because this engine comes from the factory sounding pretty good, but you can make it sound pretty decent with a few exhaust modifications and obviously the help with MHD. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you know, my car has a custom exhaust system on it. As you can see, I've just cleaned the exhaust tips and they are looking very shiny today. But anyway, let's skip the boring stuff. There's going to be a few things you're going to need for this, and number one is obviously going to be an MHD license and the MHD universal adapter. So let's hop inside the car and talk a little bit more about this. First things first, let's unplug this OBD live data thing on my car, or if you're in the UK, the MHD adapter plugs in with the writing facing the outside of the car. Just an easy way to remember if you're sitting in the car and it's quite hard to get it in. Alright, now we're in the car, we could talk a little bit about what I'm going to suggest you guys do. Now, in my opinion, this is going to be a little bit controversial. I think the N55s sound the best with no burbles on. So the reason I think this is because I'll put a few little clips on screen now if I have any.
There he comes. It's about time.
Of my car with no burbles on, and obviously the custom exhaust. I think this sounds the best for the N55. And I've been getting loads of requests on my TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. of what settings I'm running on MHD, that I've basically mapped the burbles out and stuff like that, and how I'm making the exhaust sound how it sounds. So obviously we have the option of the exhaust system I've fitted to the car, so that's obviously a benefit. There's less restrictions. But now we're going to hop into the MHD app and I'm going to go through the drop down menus of showing you exactly what I've done to make mine sound how it sounds, basically. So if you haven't done this before, you want to have your MHD adapter plugged in. It's got power down there, as you can see the lights on, and then you just want to turn the ignition on basically. And then now what I'm going to do is hop into my phone's Wi-Fi, join the MHD adapter, and then I'll screen record when I'm in the app. When you're obviously mapping, just make sure that you ideally want to connect to a battery charger, and obviously make sure you have your lights, climate control, don't take your seatbelt off, windows open, doors open, all that kind of stuff. Here you can see we are now on the main page of MHD, and what we're going to do is just go onto the top menu and just click Flash a MHD map. These are OTS maps, which basically means off-the-shelf maps. They come as they are for universal, really. There's a lot of obviously universal stuff you can do on here, so these are mapped for different cars, but obviously the same engine. So we're just going to go straight down to the multi-map. You can do this on any section, but I like to run the multi-maps on my MHD. So as you can see there, I'm going to select either stage 2 or stage 2 plus. Let's do the stage 2 plus for now. And obviously we're not going to go into all the options of the fueling and stuff. I can cover that in other videos. But if you click the little arrow on the right here, it's going to bring down another menu and you'll be able to see options. So this is where you can customize the exhaust burbles and stuff, which is what we're basically targeting today in this video. So the main thing we're going to go down to is obviously if you have an aftermarket exhaust system, then I would highly recommend you to select, obviously if you're running stock downpipes or aftermarket. So in my case, I'm running aftermarket, so I'm going to keep that on selected there. Now, one really cool feature with the N55 is the overrun wrap. I can't unfortunately run this at the moment because of my blow-off valve, so I have to keep this as OEM, which basically means that it's non-existent. But here you can see we've got loads of options for the exhaust burbles. Now, in my opinion, clicking this button here, which turns them all off, is the best option. I think these cars sound best with no exhaust burbles. But for the sake of having the multi-map section, which obviously I've paid for, I have the option of all these different maps which I can choose, which gives me a load of options to play with. So for example here, map 1, I do have burbles on because sometimes, on the rare occasion, I do actually like to have them on while I'm driving. And I've got the base duration here and the sport duration on for 0.7 seconds. So what the base means is you can actually turn this up all the way to 2.5 seconds. This basically enables it in comfort mode. So if you want burbles on in comfort, if you don't, you can just turn it off like that, for example. I'm actually going to turn that off now because I don't really want any burbles in comfort. And then obviously here you've got the option for sport or sport plus. You can select how long you want these to run for. So I found about 0.7 seconds is kind of is pretty much stock for what these cars come with off the map from the actual BMW itself. Then you can select the aggressiveness. I've put these on soft or OEM style. If you go on onto hard, I mean, it's just going to be obnoxiously loud, and it's completely your personal preference, but I really like just to keep these on OEM style or soft. Then you can select the minimum RPM these happen. So, for example, if you didn't want any exhaust burbles, say before 2000 RPM, this is all up to your options. It's completely up to your preference. I personally have it on 0 because then you can have them coming in at whatever kind of RPM you're running at. I don't really like them any higher than 5000 RPM, purely because they just get quite loud and aggressive, and I'm not too much of a fan of it, to be honest. So I just keep this at 5000 to basically top it out there. Then you can select minimum speed. So if you didn't want your burbles coming in, for example, anything before 50 mile an hour, so you're driving around town or something and you didn't want to risk them coming on, then that is an option there you guys can play with. I personally don't have to worry about that. And obviously max speed, I mean, you can turn that off or whatever, it's completely up to you. So that's basically it. In my opinion, I think the N55 sound best with no burbles. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to go down to the other maps, which we have the options here to go on to, and then I can show you what I run. So that's basically map 1. That's the slot I have and everything I run for that one. Map 2, I have these on hard and 0.2 seconds. And the only reason I do this is purely just when I'm with my mates, because if I select map 2, it basically kind of shoots off a gun sound. It's so loud, obviously, with a custom exhaust. That is what I like to keep, and it's kind of a really loud bang. Map 3, this is what I drive the car on probably 95% of the time, is just no burbles at all. This just gives me that pure N55 exhaust note, which I think so many of you guys love. And it's basically the same for map 4, which is just kind of my personal preference. So obviously then, once you've customized all that, you can just click map right and you'll be all good to go. I'm obviously not going to show you that in this video because I don't have the car connected to a battery charger. So let's give this a start up. Honestly, love the sound of this car. It sounds so good. So yeah, basically like I was saying, I think these cars sound the best if you have an exhaust system on them with no burbles. I know I made a video on the channel a couple months ago with you guys sending me loads of your clips on Facebook, Instagram, etc. And you guys had burbles on, no burbles. Some guys even had like a massive single turbo which sounded epic. But this is just a video for you guys who have been asking me about what settings I run on MHD to have no burbles and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you can give it a thumbs up. Got loads of other stuff on the channel if you want to check it out. Obviously my socials are in the description, Instagram and TikTok if you want to see them, and be sure to subscribe for more videos. But apart from that, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.